He's gone. The founding father of metal rock is gone. I'm still in shock. He was so influential to metal and rock and just music as a whole. He and Black Sabbath created a legacy, a new era of history in 1968 when they formed in Birmingham. Their first album in 1970, nobody's heard music like that before. Nobody's ever made something like that before. No one's ever played something like that before. They were the first to show the world what music could be and what rock could be. And from then on, generations and generations of people and musicians found their place and their way in the music world and changed their lives forever. And people would say that Helter Skelter from Paul McCartney was the first metal song. No, it was Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath started metal. They're the founding fathers of a new piece of history. Well over 50 years ago, getting close to 56 years ago, 8 years, almost 60 years, metal was created. Metal has been a staple point, a standing brick of the music industry for 58 years, 57, 58 years. And all of that was because of Ozzy and Tony Iommi and Vinny Appice and Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath created what we know today as metal. Helter Skelter, people say, is the first metal song, but it's not really. It's just a slightly harder rock song. It was heavy for the time. But if we go back on it now, it's more harder rock. Metal is that gut-wrenching, dead, doom sounding tone in your guitar and your bass, and the long drawn out siren sounding. That was Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath founded thousands and thousands, millions of people's lives. Music is very, very, very important to me. Very important. It makes me who I am. It's inspired me to play. My first band that I held close to me was Iron Maiden. They got me into playing keyboard and playing bass. And I'm starting now to learn guitar. I'm starting now to actually get on learning guitar. If anything, with Ozzy's death, I will honor him by pushing myself to actually learn how to play good on this. I can play pretty good on bass and keyboard as it is. I'm fine on those. I cannot play guitar. So, if anything, I will push myself for Ozzy to honor him to actually learn to play. This is a 1988 BC Rich Rave. The other band that I hold close to my heart is Dio. I have a patch. Dio is also very, very important to me. It was actually Dio, not Iron Maiden, Dio that got me into playing keyboard, specifically with Rainbow in the Dark and Mystery. Those songs made me know I want to be a musician on keyboard. And Iron Maiden, just their amazing, heart-stopping, just riffs and bass lines. Steve got me into playing bass. Dio got me into keyboard. And now Ozzy and Ghost are starting to get me into guitar. I will honor Ozzy and his legacy with playing guitar. No, I don't really have anything of Ozzy. All I have is a CD, and from now on, every time I see something Ozzy, I'm going to get it because his legacy deserves to be lived on in physical media to prove all the hard work and years he's put into his career. He loved music. He was absolutely just invested in music. Music was his life. It was very, very important to him. It kept him going, and I know Sharon kept trying to prevent him from doing shows, but I'm really, really glad that she finally let him do this last show for Back to the Beginning. And thank you to all the other bands that were there to support him. He really, really needed that. And just, I'm so glad that Ozzy passed the torch off to Youngblood. Youngblood absolutely deserves to be the next Prince of Darkness. He absolutely deserves being passed a torch from Ozzy. He is incredible. He has such a great range and a great voice, great personality, absolutely cares about every single person ever that listens to his music or interacts with him. He was at least 2-3 feet away from his mic when he was singing Changes, and you can still clearly hear him. He has such a powerful voice, and he, just like Ozzy, is very, very invested and passionate about music. He absolutely deserves Ozzy's next legacy. And I know a lot of people don't like Youngblood, but Ozzy trusted him. He was best friends with Ozzy. Ozzy absolutely loved him. He trusted him. He had fun with him. He talked with him. If Ozzy trusts someone to carry on his legacy, you should believe him. Youngblood has an amazing voice, and he's awesome. Haven't listened much to Black Sabbath, like on a regular basis. I do listen to Black Sabbath, just not on an everyday regular basis. I used to try to play War Pigs and Iron Man on bass, so I'm gonna start trying to learn that again. Just, I can't believe he's gone. Please, please, please go donate to Parkinson's research and treatment companies, charities, whatever. The money he raised from his Back to the Beginning concert in Birmingham, he raised dollars, and all of that went to charity for Parkinson's research because he doesn't want anyone else to go through what he did. It was painful and torture to him, and it took away his life. Music was his life, and it took that away from him. So please go donate to Parkinson's research treatment so nobody else has to suffer like him and take his life away. And who knows, you might develop Parkinson's and have to go through somewhat what he did. So at least, if you're not going to do it for Ozzy, do it for yourself, and that's selfish. And I know they're not going to find a cure or treatment in the next 20 years when you're 20, 30 years when you're older and get Parkinson's, but it at least helps a little bit in finding a way to stop it. Black Sabbath is absolutely critical to metal, to music as it is, to music as a whole. If there was no Black Sabbath, there would be no rock and roll, there would be no metal. Black Sabbath is so important to the music industry and music lives. Like, I don't know how to make an example of how crucial it is. There would be no video games ever if there was no Pong. If Pong didn't exist, there would be no video games at all. Video games would not exist if Pong didn't start that domino effect. That's how crucial Black Sabbath is to music. Metal and rock wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Black Sabbath. I feel like Ozzy knew he was going to die soon when he did the Back at the Beginning show, because I just feel like he knew he was going to die when he chose to play Mom, I'm Coming Home at that show. That was his best performance at the show. See and hear that he put his whole body, all of his energy into that song to make it right, to make sure he gives the best performance for that song. Next time I see a Ozzy album, specifically No More Tears, because that album has Mama I'm Coming Home on it. It doesn't have to be that one. Just anything Ozzy, I'm gonna try to get it. Because his, like I said earlier, his legacy deserves to live on in physical media to prove that he was here and all the work he did in his life and his legacy. And on the point of how important Black Sabbath is to metal and rock, with them not existing, if Black Sabbath didn't do anything. If you ask literally any metal band or any rock band, their first answer of who inspired them is Black Sabbath. Every rock and metal band is based on Black Sabbath. They were the first, they started everything. Metal and rock is very important to millions of people's lives and inspires thousands of people to get into the scene and do their own stuff, make their own music, make their own art, whatever. Music is the driving force of creativity and life. And we wouldn't have that if Black Sabbath didn't exist. So that's why Ozzy's death is so impactful and detrimental to millions of people's lives and music. Music wouldn't exist if it wasn't rock music and metal music wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Ozzy and Tony Iommi in Black Sabbath. And when Dio was in Black Sabbath, his time in Black Sabbath completely changed the direction and sound of metal for the better. His dynamics and ideas were incredible for the sound that Black Sabbath was doing. I really loved Dio's era in Black Sabbath. And then again, if Dio didn't start in Rainbow or his other band Urchin, if he didn't start in Urchin to Rainbow to Black Sabbath, there would be no Dio. If he didn't start his music, there wouldn't be, with Black Sabbath and Rainbow, there wouldn't be Dio. And Dio is one of the greatest rock singers of all time. I consider him the greatest rock singer of all time, metal rock singer of all time, next to David Coverdale. Then again, if there was no Black Sabbath, there would be no Rainbow, and David Coverdale wouldn't have someone to work with in Deep Purple, because Ritchie Blackmore was in Rainbow and Deep Purple. If there was no Black Sabbath, there would be no Rainbow, so there would be no Ritchie Blackmore in that band making that music, moving on to Deep Purple. Just saying, it's a domino effect. If there wasn't Black Sabbath to start with, there wouldn't be any rock band or metal band that you can think of. They are the building bricks of every single rock and metal band ever. And I saw that some people were upset about the choices of bands to play at Ozzy's last show. They were chosen specifically by Ozzy and Sharon. AC/DC were the first impactful big rock bands ever. Early 70s, mid 70s too. Again, they were chosen specifically because they were the first, because their inspiration was from Black Sabbath. If Black Sabbath didn't make their music or exist, and AC/DC wouldn't exist either. They were chosen specifically because they were the first to come after and get big after Black Sabbath, because that's how big their influence was. And people were upset that Tobias Forge, Papa 5, played, but then again, he was chosen specifically, and he has said in interviews, every single interview, that he has a major, major, major love and passion and influence from Black Sabbath. If you listen close to those songs, you can find a hint of Black Sabbath in every single one. Maybe not Pray Hell, because Pray Hell is more of a jazzy pop rock album. Just saying, they were chosen specifically by Ozzy to play. So if you're mad about them playing, you're mad at Ozzy. He chose them specifically because he knew that Black Sabbath and him had a major impact on them. At the show, back to the beginning show, you can see how anxious and upset with himself that Ozzy was. He was rocking, bouncing his legs, and trying to push himself up out of the chair because he wanted this show to be his best show. He wanted this to make an impact, and he just wanted to feel the music and the crowd like he used to, but he couldn't because of his Parkinson's. You can see that he was getting upset that he couldn't stand or walk. But I'm really, really glad that Sharon let him do this. This was very, very important to him, and he wanted to do this before he died. And he died not even a month later. So I'm really glad that he got to do this because this was very, very important to him. The greatest bands of all time exist because of Ozzy and Black Sabbath. Alice Cooper, major Black Sabbath influence. Slayer, definite major Black Sabbath influence. Metallica, probably the biggest band of all time. Major Black Sabbath influence from Ride the Lightning and Master Puppets. That album has a major Black Sabbath influence. Music wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Black Sabbath. I don't know if you heard earlier or right now, it's kind of dying down now, but it's majorly raining right now. The day that Ozzy dies is the day that we have the biggest storm we've had in a long time. It's just probably him fighting his way back home. Rest in peace, Ozzy. We love you very dearly. I made this a while ago. Let's see if I grab the right one. I made this a while ago, but I think it belongs to Ozzy. Ozzy deserves this. It's a rosary I made. I think Ozzy deserves this.